Hi, I'm Kristina. I'm a postdoc at Brown University and I study psychology. And I am working in the clinical and affective neuroscience lab.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm just started here 4 or 5 months ago, and I'm working with people on the study with people with depression and anxiety, and how mindfulness-based cognitive therapy is working with those disturbances and how it is working. So I'm looking at mechanisms and looking at neurophysiological data and behavioral data, and that's what I'm doing in my daily work. But next to it, I'm also very interested in engaged Buddhism and social mindfulness, and I work a lot with, or I talk a lot with Stephen Stanley and other friends from Cardiff University about how to criticize the mindfulness movement and how to make it better and more beneficial and more inclusive for more people. So that's my background.
Okay, thank you very much, Kristina. Can you introduce yourself, you, please?
Yes. Hi, I'm Yu. And my background is architecture. I just graduated from RISD with Master of Architecture. I'm an artist and designer. So my practice is, especially with mindfulness, would be I would with the mindset of being mindful. This experience is actually what I experienced during the creative process. Like, what is important to me is drawing and poetry, and also in the architecture practice, I would love to design a poetic space for people to dwell poetically. And one thing that I started recently is drawingpoems.com, and that's a way to share this the openness of the mind with a larger audience, and to share the joy of creativity of a larger audience through artwork.
That's so great. I mean, all the work you are doing is very interesting in a way, and I would like to ask. I would like to ask you something. Like, how are you combining or trying to emerge your own research field or your field with this mindfulness, like a different way of approaching life? You know, because you, Kristina, mentioned that you want to go beyond this idea of mainstream of using mindfulness. And what I understand from you is that you are trying to also incorporate this practice, but I would like to know from which perspective you want to incorporate them. So,
yeah, this is very essential, because in drawing, I'm fascinated with the openness of the mind that I can experience during the drawing process. Well, and in that state of mind, I feel I'm freer than being a child. And to me, it's kind of a level of mindfulness that I begin to reach beyond the boundary of the conceptual authenticity of the me. And then when I'm able to be open and candid, and to light the energy that moves me, and to take on itself, and to draw out a world that I don't know yet. And be open to this energy, I feel this is a form of being mindful that is so essential to my practice, because I'm able to listen to what has touched me deeply and quietly. And these inspirations could be very simple. It's like an act of beauty in the daily life. I'd encounter with people, with animals, and the reflection of death, love, and life. And it motivates me to draw. So when I'm moved, I draw. And the world that I draw out is a world that I don't know yet. And when sharing such a world, when it is spreading this awareness, is to share the energy that is as fresh and exciting as birth and as ancient and true as the sun.
Okay. Yeah, that's fascinating. I think from what I have read, I think this having the perspective of mindfulness within arts, it gives us a very different flavor of what we are doing. And that is something that I can get from what you are sharing with us. And I don't know, how do you think about that, Kristina, in terms of how mindfulness is shown in main research? Like, how do you think this could be shaping the mindfulness movement, and how people are integrating mindfulness in other fields that are not psychology or neuroscience, but which are more related to these more affective and creative processes, such as in arts?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, maybe we should shortly talk about how we met. So
Yeah. And then you can move on to that question. Yeah.
Same, but also, so there's this project called Discover at Rhode Island School of Design, RISD, and Brown University. It's an event where artists and scientists collaborate and come together, and we both got paired up. So they were reading our biographies and deciding that we are a good match, and that's true. So we had a month time to develop something together in project, an arts science collaboration project. And so that we talked a lot about this, how mindfulness is maybe from the scientific psychological perspective, and from the artist perspective, and our maybe where we come together is more as a vision of like this poetic space where people can experience mindfulness or experience being in this mindful state, in this creative mindful state, by developing these poetic spaces. And it's kind of a utopian vision of how the idea world would be if everyone would just experience in such a creative way and express themselves. And it would also combine the social aspect of mindfulness, because I think that's where people come together if they get beyond conceptuality. So it's not just our own experience of mindfulness and the creative process, but also how do we share this with other people? How do we make it accessible? That's the tool. That's the thing we tried to develop over the last month by developing, and we wrote a poem, for example, about those spaces, and from that on we developed our task that we will probably talk about later.
Yeah. So the key is we are developing a vehicle for people to be able to experience this poetic experience. So we call this vehicle a poetic space. So this is a key word for us. And based on how to create poetic space, we come up with the idea, the project of poetic gratitude.
And this is great. I mean, I'm really interested in how someone who is new to the field, how approach to start using this vehicle. Would you say that people start practicing mindfulness or other kind of meditation practice, or are you invite the person to start a creative project and then you bring mindfulness to that?
Very interesting, because during the gallery opening, when we put or we create a poster or project, the instruction of how to do the poetic gratitude exercise. And we can show it here. Maybe. And so very interesting is people when they after reading the instruction on the wall, they naturally start doing them themselves without me talking with them, and like a mom and a daughter just to start doing, and they enjoy doing that. And so those are the examples of the people automatically start to draw.
Maybe we should explain what it means.
Yeah.
Is that yeah 4 steps. So poetic gratitude is a collective gratitude drawing relay to foster a positive and a deeper level interpersonal communication. Those are the steps.
So first you share with someone who you feel grateful to at the moment. Then you describe that feeling with each other. And then after both shared those feelings and described the feelings, each draw each other's feeling. And then we take a photo and put it online so that other people can see what their stories are about, like gratitude. So I think we could maybe just shortly explain our own, so that gets clear.
Yeah, so this is the,
Yes.
So this is my drawing, and this is used drawing, and it's you want to share your story of gratitude?
Yeah.
I guess that's
yeah. So what the story I share with Chris is, I feel grateful for my aunt, and that feeling when I'm experiencing it is just as such natural and refreshing and joyful, and it just feels like watermelon, the happiness. And that's what Chris get.
Mm-hmm.
And then she draw that image of this watermelon, and that's exactly the transmission of the gratitude feeling.
Yeah.
And I want to mail this to my aunt with lots of seeds.
Yeah.
And this way, naturally, all of the 3 of us are connected.
Yes, I can see that, and this would be the way of sharing those affective states, and how you can also draw what you are feeling, and maybe putting some colors as well, and transmitting that message to people who are in our surroundings. Oh, what is this one?
This is this way. Yeah, that's just the examples. But to explain from those exhibition.
Yeah, exercise.
Are these part of an exhibition, or it's something you just only share online, or how can people access your?
During the gallery opening, and the people attending the gallery opening, and they saw the instruction online on the wall of how to do poetic gratitude, and they with their friends, with their family, and they will just sit down, and we provide the paper and the marker, and they just start doing that. And we post this to our Instagram account called Poetic Gratitude. And it's very automatic. And what we learned from their doing this, they share with us, is they feel they're able to express how they feel. They may not willing to use words, or they may not be able to use words beyond language. And yeah, go ahead.
So from a theoretical perspective, it's very much in line with Buddhist backgrounds. So there's certain mindfulness exercises that you have a great gratitude meditation, for example. And it's also referring to certain practices that are used already in psychological research, such as Tanya Singer's Compassion Lab and her study on resource, where they also developed dyadic paired exercise where people share each other's story of gratefulness or gratitude. So there's an overlap with other, like it fits into the realm on one side Buddhist traditions, and on the other side westernized transformation and developing of psychological practices. So, but more as maybe as an accident, because we were just talking a lot about it and then developing it, and it just came naturally up. It's not that we
and also
was reading before. It was more it came out.
Right. And when we are talking about this, we also want to get to know each other more.
Yeah.
Like a deep personal level of understanding.
Yeah.
And so when we experiment this by drawing the gratitude, by sharing and drawing our gratitude feeling, we do feel so that we are able to understand each other and connect with each other at a deeper level.
Yeah, and
we
less
feel
conceptual
good
level also.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that we are trying to cover the gap within social mindfulness research, in the sense that people argue that there's a challenge on how to bring mindfulness practices in a more practical level, like in our society, and how practicing mindfulness could help us to deal with our social and environmental crisis. So I'm saying that, as you said, that through this practice of poetic gratitude, you can have a deep understanding of each other's, and you can build a more significant relationship with others. So my question is, if you consider this vehicle as a more transformative and radical and activist way of integrating mindfulness within our society.
Yes, we do find this is a small but determined step to start a like collective project that can increase the mindfulness and for the mental well-being of each other. Social, it is carrying a social like meaning, and also at the not only at the collective level but at the personal level. And I find that based on what we hear about others doing this exercise, this has such a potential to be able to be such a collective social or art or well-being movement, is that the structure, the structure that is working here are first by sharing each other's gratitude, that we'll be able to be willing to open our heart, and the sharing this feeling is non-judgmental. It's exactly to describe the feeling, even though we may not know like how it happens. And the second is listening. We have to listen carefully to each other's feeling so that we can draw. And so by listening, we can get ourselves out of our own mind and to be present with another being. So that's the vehicle. And the third is we draw.
So the drawing is then transforming the conceptual level of understanding into a more experiential feeling or affective state or non-conceptual understanding with each other. And I think that's an important step that has been not done yet in the mindfulness practice development in nowadays. So I think that's a good step. Although, of course, we don't, just by using one of those great gratitude exercises, we don't become political social activists. Just like that, going on the streets and fighting for our social rights. But I think it helps anyway to open our hearts and minds for that. And it's also a way of self-care and mutual understanding. So it's a little step, but I think it goes in the right direction. because it is definitely a social practice, and compared to just sitting and practicing non-duality in your own mind, it's engaging with other people's understanding and also transforming it, so, and then sharing it to the world, and then it's not only dyadic, like it's not one-on-one, but it's also sharing with the third person that you feel grateful for, and the fourth person, the other person feels grateful for, and then and then maybe those people share grateful, like gratitude, and it can be spread. So I don't know if it's helping in the big picture of environmental crisis, but it gives a little bit of hope, or
actually we are making hope.
Yeah. Yeah, it brings together people, and I think that's one of the challenges nowadays, that people get more and more individualistic and think about themselves. But if you have to understand the feeling from another person on more than a conceptual description, I think there's a step that helps in making it more collective, our world more collective instead of independent.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. I think it's like a very beautiful description of how you came up with this idea. And I would say that it's radical in a way, because you are inviting people to approach in a very different way. And I think, as you said, Kristina, maybe it doesn't have like a practical impact, but I do think that it's starting from a different point of the more mainstream mindfulness. So this means that working from our unconsciousness and feeling this, opening this feeling of gratitude and sharing it. I think this it is going to work in this social tissue, and that definitely will have a more transformative and practical impact in our society. Yeah. So I'm really happy and grateful that you are sharing with us. And we have some minutes to go, but I don't know if you want to share another practice with us.
I think we should read our poems. Do we have time for that?
Yeah, definitely.
So the practice is just one part of our whole process of developing, because it's just so we tried to develop a poetic space, and we expressed that in our poems, and then we were kind of on a barrier. So how do we reach that experience on a practical level? And that's how our tool was developed. But it's only a part of a big idea, and so we should read our poems. Do you want to start?
Yeah, that will be lovely.
See, one's a bit long.
Light tunnel, blue bird, giant fish, white silence, grass smile, glowing sound, blooming, a garden of colors and marks. Aha. Blue whale, breath frozen in air and light, of frozen of air, light, and the breath.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's very nice.
Do we have time for reading mine?
Yes, that's your turn.
Poetic experience. Before entering the cathedral, you have to wait in a queue of people with the same destiny. Everyone is awaiting the experience, talking with friends, excited and aroused, slowly moving and coming closer. The excitement grows, and finally, you enter the space, and immediately you are filled with awe and wonder. Its dimensions, its colors, its shapes, shadows and light reflections cannot be reduced to words to describe the feeling you have. When the arousal settles down and the mind starts to wander, and the space cannot distract you from the concept of your own narrations, you leave and enter a dark room. lack of awe, a lack of sensation, no sight or sound. A change of excitement and a sensory deprivation that is followed by yet another space. White and light and soft and quiet. Sitting or lying down and just breathing. And only focusing on the breath that enters your body, your own living space, for a while. But it is a lonely space. Then you are refreshed and focused and ready to encounter the other. A space with music and paint and openness, sharing with another your experience of awe and darkness and whiteness through the medium of art, leaving the colors behind and entering together a beautiful garden.
Thank you. Both of them are really nice. And I'm just wondering if people want to have access to your work and maybe they want to have the chance to write one of these poems, where do they can find the way to do it, or how they can get in touch with you?
We have a website page of Poetic Gratitude. I will send you later.
Yep.
And also we have Instagram account called Poetic Gratitude. And they could follow us and they can practice their poetic gratitude drawing with each other and
take a photo and upload it with hashtag.
Yes.
Oh, it's very social media, but yeah, why not?
Okay, yeah, so this is the invitation to the students and the general audience who are gonna see.
We'd love to connect with them.
Yeah, you should try it, and then you should just, you shouldn't work 20, 45, 50 minutes on this drawing or story. Just take 10 minutes with each other, and it is very easy and fast to do, and it's just
feels good.
And just do it as an experiment once and feel happy for 10 minutes. And maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. But if you don't try, you can't tell.